out there pushing back against you. So they try to diminish those. Okay, great. Yes?
Where people can get some benefits from communication.
Okay. So helping them understand the benefits you're going to provide. Would that help create a favorable environment?
No, I mean, if people can get some benefits for themselves.
What benefits they're going to get?
As a result of communication itself.
Okay.
Education, new knowledge, new skills.
Okay, okay, good. So say within your particular mission, let's see, I'll give you an example. Okay, I recently went back and visited the Colorado temple, ISKCON temple, where I first got involved in Bhakti Yoga seriously. And I recall one time I was the temple president and we were trying to open a Govinda's buffet. And we took a few shortcuts that we shouldn't have, so we had to go and talk to the city government again to get some permission. So they sent some additional inspectors to come and look at the kitchen and the plumbing and everything else. And basically, if we passed the inspection, we could open our buffet. We'd already spent a lot of time and money. And if they didn't pass the inspection, they were going to shut us down. In fact, they'd already shut us down. We were trying to reopen. So think of this in terms of whether I had a favorable environment to work with. The inspector came, I met him at the door, we started walking downstairs to the kitchen. I started making some small talk. I said, "Have you ever been here before, Mr. Smith?" He said, "Yes, they told me I was a demon." Okay? Was that a favorable environment or an unfavorable environment? Not so good, right? So basically I kind of picked myself up off the floor after I fell down the stairs and tried to rebuild a relationship with him. So the idea is, whatever our mission might be, say with ISKCON, we looked at that, trying to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large, the first point. So communications can help ISKCON. Communications can help Morgan Stanley. Communications can help the government. Communications can help your family achieve the goals of that by creating a favorable environment to achieve your mission. So let's say where I was at this temple in Colorado, we decided part of our mission was to open this Govinda's buffet. But we needed to make a favorable environment. The government was going to shut us down. Okay, so by communicating, by building relationships with this guy, I could change a very unfavorable environment into a favorable environment. And here's another nice example that I think illustrates it well. A lot of people from, sometimes when I do this class in like South India or something, this example doesn't work, but I think this will work here. How many of you have ever heard of gladiators? Okay, good. I won't ask you if you saw the movie or not. That's another question. But you've heard of gladiators. So what do gladiators do? They go in a big theater, right? Like in Rome, what do they call it? The Colosseum. They go in the Colosseum and they play soccer, right? No. What do they do? What do they do, Jonathan? What do they do?
They fight.
They fight. With boxing gloves, right? No. How do they fight?
They have swords.
Swords and spears and lots of nasty weapons, right? And usually they fight, oftentimes they fight to the death, okay? Now, at least in popular culture and popular ways that gladiator culture is perceived, you may have an auditorium like the Roman Colosseum at 40,000 people, something like that. It's a big place. 40,000 people. Now when you're fighting, imagine you're a gladiator. At the end of the fight, usually one person may end up on the ground with a spear at their throat. Okay? That's a difficult situation to be in. Now, at that point, there's what we use this next term coming up, a key audience. There's a big audience. But there's one person who's the key audience. Just like if you have a key to open a door. You may have many keys, but you need the right key to open the door. So there's a key audience in that Colosseum as far as that gladiator communicating what he would like to get done. What's the gladiator want to get done, first and foremost? They like to live, right? That's good. If you go to work and you come home and you get to live, you have a successful day as a gladiator. Okay? So there's one person in that whole Colosseum who's especially important. Who's that person? The emperor. Why? Why the emperor, Anatoly?
Because he decides whether to...
Good, exactly. The emperor puts out his thumb, okay? If he puts his thumb up, what does that mean?
Let him live.
He's letting him live. If he puts his thumb down, yes, reincarnation. Okay? So if you're the gladiator, okay, there's a particular person there who is a key audience. In other words, they can really, really help you or they can really, really hurt you. Okay? So what we want to try to talk about, communications in terms of leaders, you've got a mission, maybe an organization now or sometime in the future. You want to create a favorable environment so your mission can be successful. And part of doing that is you need to know who are the key audiences, who can help you, who can hurt you. Because you darn well need to communicate with those people. In other words, if the whole crowd thinks you're a great fighter, but the emperor didn't like you, you're in trouble. And if the emperor likes you, but nobody else did, no worries. Because he's the one that can really help you, can really hurt you. Okay? So, give me another example, say favorable environment. How many of you have gardened here? Raise your hand if you've ever done any gardening. Okay, almost everybody. Okay, good. So, tell me if this is right or wrong. In the spring, okay, in that kind of a culture where you plant in the spring, that kind of environment, the first thing you do in the spring when you're getting ready to create a garden, the very first thing you do, everybody think about it, is you go and you put the seeds in the ground, right?
No.
Yeah. Irina, is that right?
No.
Yes, she says yes. I heard over here no. Anatoly with a smile, he says no. Why? Why no?
Because first of all, we need to prepare the soil.
Have to prepare the soil, isn't it? Like what? What do you do to prepare the soil? Shamananda Prabhu.
Like kill the soil?
You have to till the soil, turn the earth over. What else do you have to
Just
do?
weeds now. Weeds.
You have to take the weeds out. Okay? What else maybe do you have to do?
Some
Maybe-
water might be there.
Might need to water it,
And nutrients.
add some nutrients, some fertilizer.
You need to find the seeds first.
What's that?
You need to find the seeds first.
Okay, well let's say you have the seeds, okay? You have the seeds. That's a good point too. That's a whole philosophical discussion. But understanding you have the seeds, you have to prepare the soil. And maybe it's been a long winter, you know, you go out there and some things died in the ground, and you gotta get rid of the dead bodies and some sticks and stones and leaves. You gotta make the soil very nice. And once it's nice, Irina, then what do you do?
Yes, my mama do the preparation.
Oh, see, you had a very good mama. So your mama did all the work and you put the seeds in. And then she watered it and she weeded it and she turned it into corn and she made bread and you ate it. That's good, mama. So just imagine we divided the room in half. Let's say we're outside in a garden, okay? Just like here behind the back, there's a nice garden out back. They're growing a lot of things. So let's imagine that this room is a garden and we'll split. We got all ladies on this side, the men on this side. So the ladies, they listen to Irina. Okay? All the men are out there, we're listening to Sham and we're tilling the soil and we're adding fertilizer and we're perspiring and it's hard work and we're taking out the stones and this and that and water and somebody's bringing fertilizer all the way from across the street at the Goshala. Irina's sitting back there along with her friends. She said, these like foolish men, they're working so hard. Don't waste your time. Just put the seeds in the ground and let's go to Govindus and have some lassi. Okay? Meanwhile, the men, we prepare the soil, everything's ready. We put the same seeds, same earth, same sun, same water, same everything, exactly the same. And we prepare the soil, and the ladies don't. You come back about 3 weeks later, what are you going to find? Are they going to look the same?
No.
No. What are the ladies? Be humble here. What's your side going to look like?
Probably quite okay because their garden is going to be dug up by all the birds. Sorry, my project is permaculture.
Okay.
No
I better,
tilting all
okay,
the
we have to
time.
talk during the break. I'm going to have to fix my example. But basically, we know what we're going to find. This side is going to be pretty much a standard growth, all healthy plant, assuming, you know, the birds didn't all come in this net. It's going to be healthy growth, kind of standardized maximum. Here, there's going to be a few plants that came in nicely, then there's going to be some that didn't come in at all, then there's going to be some stunted, it's going to look pretty weak, isn't it? Yeah, that's not going to be such a nice garden. What's the difference between the two? Preparation. We took the time to create a favorable environment for the seeds. This side, we didn't take the time to create a favorable environment, okay? So when I went to get permission from this government man to open our buffet, because we hadn't taken the time to create a favorable environment, we could have lost the whole thing, okay? I'll give another example. No one's here from Hong Kong, right? No Hong Kong. I was in Hong Kong years ago, and they told me, visiting the temple, and they said, okay, we're going to go out chanting. Everybody come down at 5 o'clock, we're going to go out chanting. So I came to the second or third floor, I came out the elevator, very enthusiastic. I stepped outside, and there was about 6 or 8 policemen there. I said, okay, no thank you. Some parts of the world, if you see police when you go out chanting, it's time to, you know, you got to hide quickly. And they said, no, they're here to host us. So in Hong Kong, when they go out chanting and there's a music party on the streets, the police, they tell the police, and they have 2 men in the front, and they have 2 men or police women in the back, and a couple on the side, and they host them to make sure there's no difficulties. You know, they hold the traffic when they cross the road. So because they have a very nice relationship with the police, they've created a very, what? Favorable environment. Other places you go, maybe we don't have such a nice relationship with the police or the government, and so many problems come. Okay, or similar, let's say you have like a business enterprise. If you've created a favorable environment with your landlord, you're going to be more successful. If you create a favorable environment creating your brand, you're going to be more successful. If you haven't, you're not going to be so successful. So we want to look at this focus. We're communicating to create a favorable environment, okay? And the key to do that is understanding who are the key audiences, who are those people who can help us or hurt us, okay? We're going to go through a few more terms, and then we're going to come back and ask you to go through a little exercise again in terms of your own mission. So this Gohi Rama is just an example of some of the types of key audiences, and this is something that's appropriate for me, just to use myself as an example for a minute. As ISKCON's Minister of Communications, these are some of the key audiences that are essential for my success. Okay? Government. I do a lot of work on religious freedom issues, and where the government's favorable to religious freedom, then it helps. Whether or not, it's a problem. Get a lot of support from different Hindu organizations. There's one group called the Hindu American Foundation, very helpful in my work. Internal, this means whoever's on your own team. Maybe it's in your family, maybe it's part of your environmental outreach or your interreligious outreach. Who are the people that are kind of on your team? Because if your team's not working, not being good communications, it doesn't matter how effective you are outside, things are going to fall apart, right? Like, let's just say, for an instance, someone's a very, very successful businesswoman. She's worked her way up the company. She's become the CEO. She's now making 3 million euros a year. There's a front page newspaper story about her. Everything's wonderful. And then she comes home after one of her business trips, and there's a note from her husband saying, this is too much. I can't deal with this. You're gone so long. I took the kids. We're living in Hawaii now. Good luck. Here's my lawyer. Call him. What happens to how successful is she? Externally, so many nice things. Internally, a big mess. Just as an example. Okay? And again, for me, religious leaders, scholars, I go over here to an event called the American Academy of Religion. They have about 6,000 scholars of religion go there. And the media, of course, can have an effect on us too. Okay? So these are some different examples of this. Now here's what we call the communications mantra. Once we've identified those key audiences, these people that can help us or hurt us, A lot of comments about how we have to tell people what we're doing. More important than telling people what we're doing is to have people want to support what you're doing, isn't it? You're active people leading different efforts, so you want people to support in various ways. So this is the secret mantra. I can talk about the Hare Krishna mantra, so many mantras. This is the secret mantra, how to create a favorable environment in such a way that the emperor is going to like you, that the key audiences will help you. Okay? And that's needs, interest, and concerns. Everybody say that together once. Needs, interest, and concerns. Okay? In other words, let me give you an example.